Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about geography. Oops! What's the connection between geography and English? Well, actually, it is very significantly important subject, actually to be addressed as a part that constitutes the most variation that we come across or we see in English nowadays. Now, how is geography important when it comes to the study of English language? There's this kind of controversy over the distribution and the hierarchy of English, especially when it comes to the preference, your preference of English conversation, whether you like to speak like a native speaker of UK or Britain or United Kingdom, or you prefer to speak like an American citizen who lives in the United States or in Canada or one of the territories or the states that belong to the United States of America. Okay, so it is quite important to understand something that has a connection and ties to geography as much as history. A lot of these settlers in the United States came from originally from UK. Because of that, there is this kind of heritage that the United States has in UK, to be very specific. But when it comes to the variation, there is this traveler kind of agency that took the travelers and the settlers in the United States nowadays are originally coming from United Kingdom and Britain. Because of this distance in the Atlantic Ocean between United States and United Kingdom, the kind of English that stayed in the United States was kind of raw or crude, did not have that quite influence by the European nations that were influxing into London and United Kingdom. So, in one way, English of United Kingdom is conservative because it preserves the origins of English, and they say, well, we do not want to change this word or add this word to dictionary. So as an example, they do not like to add the word vlog. They do not want to add the word selfie to their dictionary, but I haven't updated my database regarding that. But recently they had that kind of like rejection to this kind of expression because it's a novelty of technology and it does not show the originality of English that is preserved over the past centuries. In United States, when people settled in the United States, and it's a matter of geography actually, they had this connection with the the updates of English and the connection of United Kingdom to Europe, and the influx of immigrants was as not much as that was in the United States, and because of so, there was this kind of lack of contact with the new kind of expressions. So we see something in English like I did not forget instead of I haven't forgotten. They use certain kind of expressions that retain the origin of inflection and derivation of English, and there is not that kind of like complexity to the English structure because over the past centuries they did not have that kind of contact with other nations. But after the influx of immigrants from Africa, Black English started to evolve, and that started to add new list of vocabulary that kind of like not relevant to United Kingdom, but as much as it is relevant to Black English and immigrants English. So we see a lot of terminology coming from Italian, coming from Jewish origin or Hebrew origin, or coming from Arabic or Aramaic or African origin, because these nations started to travel and settle in the United States. But because of the difficulty of travel before the time of planes and transportation, the modern transportation, traveling to the United States was terribly hard. And it was fraught with difficulties and risks of, crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Because of so, there was this lack of connection with the modernity of English. So we see the kind of English in the United States is basic as much as the English in UK is a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to the morphology, the syntactic structure. But in fact, when the internet came, the first pioneers of promoting and promulgating the English via internet was the United States. And because of so, nowadays the English is taking the shape, morphologically speaking, of the United States. So I see a lot of people actually speak with American accent just because it has this kind of like a global preferability. A lot of people actually hear and listen and watch Hollywood movies, and this kind of production is just adding another layer of preference to this dialect over the dialect, or accent over the accent and dialect of United Kingdom. But to be honest, the kind of English that we see in media is not literally the kind of English we see in the society. People talk to each other in very normal and low-key style. You can do a lot of your work in United Kingdom or United States without using that kind of sophisticated language. The point to be made here is that try to be okay with the kind of English that you're speaking. Try to update the system of language that you have, but do not give a lot of focus to accent and dialect, and whether you like British or American. It's a matter of diversity. There are hundreds of Englishes around the world, varying from Singapore to Thai to Vietnamese to Japanese English to Indian English to American English, British English, Australian. So there's a spectrum of varieties of dialects and accent. Everybody has his own accent. So do not give that kind of big attention to this issue. It is very normal to speak in your accent, whether that's a Middle Eastern accent, Jewish accent, or South or North African accent. It is very normal. As long as you send the message, you convey the meaning, you're in good ground. Have a lovely and wonderful day or night, wherever and whenever you are. God bless you. مدرب اللغة الإنجليزية وليد خالد.